Nigeria's candidate Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala remains the only candidate for WTO leadership bid as Korean candidate drops out of race. Federal government launches guaranteed of-take stimulus schemes, opens portal from 11:59 p.m. Tuesday, 8 February 2021, as oil hits highest in a year on growth hopes. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. We begin with the news that South Korea Trade Minister Yoo Myung-hee this Friday stepped down from the bid to become head of the World Trade Organization, clearing the way for Nigeria's Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala to become the global body's first woman and first African Director General. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden has been asked to endorse former Nigeria's Finance Minister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala for the World Trade Organization (WTO) top job. Dozens of former U.S. government officials have urged Biden to endorse Okonjo-Iweala after the Trump administration blocked her selection. The opposition halted the selection process because WTO decisions are made on the basis of a consensus of its members. Oil hits its highest level in a year, above $59 a barrel on Friday, supported by hopes of a quicker economic revival and supply curbs by OPEC and its allies. New orders for U.S.-made goods rose more than expected in December, pointing to continued strength in manufacturing. The U.S. Congress is also moving ahead on President Joe Biden's COVID-19 relief plan. Brent crude was up 1.2% to $59.53 after hitting $59.67, its highest since 20th February 2020. U.S. crude was up 1.2% to $56.89 after reaching $56.95, its highest since 22nd January 2020. Now, data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that the total value of capital importation into Nigeria stood at $1.069 billion in the fourth quarter of 2020. This represents a decrease of minus 26.81% compared to third quarter 2020 and minus 71.87% decrease compared to the fourth quarter of 2019. The report shows that the total value of capital importation in 2020 stood at $9.680 billion compared to $23.990 billion in 2019, representing a decline of minus 59.65% between the two periods. The largest amount of capital importation by type was received through other investment, which accounted for 73.22% of total capital importation, followed by foreign direct investment and portfolio investment. Efforts to bolster an innovative ecosystem where young innovators and startups can work, play, and learn how to create indigenous technologies are beginning to bear fruits. The federal government, through the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, is pushing for the emergence of more technology hubs with the building of its own national digital innovation an entrepreneurship center. At the groundbreaking ceremony, the minister said the project, which was established by the NITDA, is aimed at creating an innovative ecosystem that will focus on creating an enabling environment that will inspire, connect, encourage, and support technology startups, entrepreneurs, and businesses towards innovation and indigenization of technologies.
These are the two prerequisites of building an indigenous digital economy. Without promoting our indigenous digital innovation on one hand, and also promoting our indigenous digital entrepreneurship.
And for us to create and get value in digital economy, we need to promote innovation and entrepreneurship in the digital space.
The world is troubled with issues that are hard to solve, major among them being the coronavirus pandemic, and businesses and economies have no doubt been hit hard. Experts suggest that innovation is a facilitator of empowering people to take charge of their lives and economic prosperity. As Nigeria builds its own national digital innovation and entrepreneurship center, how can innovation help solve the Nigeria's problems, and how can entrepreneurship help drive the economy? These are some of the questions our guests on the program will be answering. He is Osai Ilome, co-founder, Labour Business School, and coordinator, Nigeria-Korea Innovation Exchange. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you.
Okay, the groundbreaking of the National Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship took place yesterday. With that, it seems that the federal government is determined to ensure an innovative ecosystem that will drive economic growth. How important is innovation and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think first I want to congratulate the minister and, of course, congratulations also to Mr. President for this milestone towards our innovative leadership or innovative management in the country. The world is at the moment where we have moved from management by objectives or management by science, and we're now in an area where it's known as management by creativity and innovation. And so the rapid adoption or the rapid catch-up of any country as far as development is concerned is the capability of the country's entrepreneurs to be able to adapt to technological knowledge. Okay, and so we have had a situation in this country where most entrepreneurs lack access to relevant technological support system that they ought to tap into to be able to drive their passion, to drive their innovative capabilities.
Support systems?
For instance, for a small business that is into ICT, okay, you need an environment where you can have access to internet services. And of course, you know that across the country, of course, some time ago, the minister also tried to launch the rural internet program. Okay, but we don't have good progress in that direction. And so you have a situation whereby some entrepreneurs across the country, especially in the rural areas, find it difficult to really access internet, quality internet services. Okay, that also have to do with the issue of power. Okay, because for you to be able to continue to access internet, you must have power in your device. And so these are some of the things that I think this launch that the minister just did is going to help to provide the small businesses.
What do you make of the center?
Yeah, I think like I began by saying, giving a congratulatory message to the minister and Mr. President. I think the center is going to contribute enormously to the capability of Nigerian entrepreneurs to be able to adopt and adapt international technological knowledge by way of having more information about new technologies, trending technologies, and because of course, if you understand the technological space, when we talk about innovation is simply about invention plus commercialization. And so when an entrepreneur does not have that opportunity to understand the trends in the technological ecosystem, he will not, or he or she will not be able to understand how to properly commercialize whatever idea, whatever technological idea, in terms of intellectual property and all that he has been able to develop.
Okay, would you say entrepreneurs are taking advantage of the digital space?
Of course, you will agree with me that Nigerians are very proactive, innovative people. If you look at the number of our young Nigerians that are using, the technological services that are being provided, whether it is social media, whether it is digital payment systems, or whether it is the e-commerce platforms, the number keeps growing. Okay, and so we are actually adopting some of these technological services, but what we are now thinking that this launch is going to contribute is to support Nigerian entrepreneurs to be able to not just utilize these technologies, but to begin the process of developing local technologies that we can also deploy to the world.
Okay, with much attention shifting to providing a conducive environment for businesses to thrive, how do you see various intervention by the federal government since the inception of COVID-19, those funds?
Yeah, COVID-19 has been a global pandemic, has been a global problem. So governments all over the world are striving to be able to manage their resources, manage even their revenue, manage the human capabilities and all that. So they have been able to introduce relevant intervention programs, especially from the CBN perspective. But of course, like Oliver Twist, I sit here representing the small businesses in this country, and I will wish that the CBN will do more. I will wish that the presidency will do more. I will wish that other relevant agencies of government, again, I will mention Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, who is supposed to be the custodian of administering support to small businesses in Nigeria, to do more. I would also like to call on the Federal Inland Revenue System, Federal Inland Revenue FIRS, to do more in terms of looking at ways and means that they can provide support to the Nigerian small businesses, because the pandemic has actually depleted the revenue of small business owners across the country and across the world.
Okay, you're talking about innovation. To a large extent, you're talking about industrialization.
Yes.
How would you describe Nigeria's industrialization drive?
This is a question that, in any case, the fact is that Nigeria have not really done well in terms of industrialization. If you look at, for instance, the United Nations Development Program report of 2019, you discover that Nigeria is not among the top 10 developing or industrializing countries in Africa. Especially when you have countries like Gabon, Seychelles, Angola, all these small countries being ranked above Nigeria in terms of industrialization tells you that we have to do more. And so, of course, which also feeds back to what the government is trying to do by launching this technological hub, because for a country to be ranked as one of the top countries that are, that are developing in terms of technology and health and welfare and economic growth, you have to have a structure, a system, an ecosystem whereby you provide enormous support system, because your economy is driven by these small businesses. And so these small businesses have the potential to introduce local technologies, introduce local initiatives that can drive the economy in ways and means that the government cannot even imagine. And so we continue to urge the government. They have done some things that are commendable, and we must give them that commendation where necessary, but we also want to call them that they should think out of the box.
Okay, let's talk about social media influencers. Reports say social media influencers earn millions of dollars every year. Influencer marketing is becoming so popular.
Yeah.
How is this in Nigeria, and how can young people key in?
I think first and foremost, we have to look at the culture of the Nigerian business environment. Social media influencer cannot earn when the corporates, the multinationals in the country are not recognizing the role that social media influencers can play in terms of driving a particular message, to the public. And so we like to see a situation whereby we begin to also pay attention to Nigerian social media influencers by way of private corporations and even government agencies. I remember some time ago, there was an attempt to bring together some of the active players in this social media space to provide some form of guidance, to provide some form of support and all that. I will encourage the Minister of Information to continue to do that and deepen that interaction, because by doing that, we'll have a situation whereby it becomes increasingly clear to stakeholders in the public relations space the role of social media. And of course, we also have to call on Nigerians that are interested in becoming social media influencers to be able to do the right thing, to be able to understand the context and the content of messages that are supposed to develop, which will be able to attract the right audience and attract the right clients for them to be able to get paid as a social media influencer.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Osai Ilome, co-founder, Labour Business School and coordinator, Nigeria Korea Innovation Exchange.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now moving on is cheering news for MSMEs, as the federal government is set to roll out the last two schemes of the MSMEs Survival Fund, which seek to dispense 150,000 naira grant each to additional 204,000 small businesses across the country. Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Katagun, at the launch of the scheme, says they are part of efforts to build and rejuvenate the economy amidst COVID-19. Mupalanda Kok reports.
Medium enterprises to mitigate the impact of the coronavirus on citizens. As the second wave of the pandemic intensifies, Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Katagum, says government will again from 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday, 9th February 2021, open a new portal for the Guaranteed Takeoff Scheme and General MSME grants applications for 2 weeks.
The scheme will give preference to products produced in reasonably sufficient volumes in each state of the Federation, which have the proven propensity to create jobs and have a multiplier effect on the surrounding economy. These products include face masks, hand sanitizers, liquid soap, disinfectants, and processed food.
So far, more than 27 billion naira has been dispensed to 296,000 MSMEs across the country, and government is determined to reach another 204,000 MSMEs to make a total of 500,000 beneficiaries.
In fact, this is the first time in the history that we see a program being run by the federal government and which every Nigerian believes in it. So we thank God for that.
The purpose of the scheme is to stimulate direct local production by enabling 100,000 MSMEs for each of the schemes in the production sector. In Abuja, Muplang Dakok.
Now, the Nigerian stock market maintained a negative posture for the first 4 days of the month. How did market close on the last trading day of the week? Bosede Abel is here.
Thank you very much, Musa. Hello and welcome to the markets. I am Bosede Abel. Now, it has not been a pleasant trading week on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, as there has been a 4-day consecutive losing streak in the markets. The NSE All Share Index depreciated by 0.18% to close the week at 41,709.09 basis points. 482 million shares valued at 5.5 billion naira traded in 5,998 deals were traded by investors on the floor of the exchange in 21.8 trillion naira. And the most sought after stocks at the end of the day were Union Bank, Nigeria, Zenith Bank and Transcorp. That was the market for the day. Over to you, Musa.
Well, thank you, Bosede. Still talking stocks, global shares rise Friday amid hopes for global economic rebound. Ineka Oko reports.
Shares in Asia Pacific rose early Friday trading following overnight gains stateside that saw the S&P 500 hitting a record closing high. The benchmark Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong gained 0.6% to close at 29,288.68. Nikkei gained 1.54% to close at 28,779.19, while Shanghai Composite was down 0.16%. European stocks were modestly higher Friday as investors looked to vaccine rollouts for hopes of normalization, while global markets flirt with record highs. Stock futures in the United States rose early Friday following a four-day winning streak on Wall Street as investors awaited a closely watched January jobs report. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average pointed to an opening gain of more than 100 points, and S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq 100 futures also both traded higher in the pre-market. It was a robust opening for Africa's markets, with most of the stocks posting gains after days of losses. Neka Oko, Business Express.
Let's see prices on the commodity market this Friday. Now, how much is the Naira exchanging for other currencies? Well, this is where we end this episode of the program. Don't forget you can access this and all previous episodes on YouTube, and you can also communicate with us on Twitter, and the handle is NTA News Now. The hashtag is BizExp. Join us again next week. I am Musa Abubakar saying stay safe.